So what happened on street level that led to you guys feeling like you guys needed to separate? Because Al Tariq Fashion, he ended up leaving after that album too, right?
Yeah, yeah, he left. So what ended up happening was, remember Lucian from the Luck of Lucian
Yes.
tribe? Yes. Okay, so he used to hang around us as well. So one day, midway through this album or almost ending, um, he tells me, um, he says, watch it for Fashion at the time. He said that guy is saying that you're using them so that you can get a name and then leave. You just use them for their name and so that you can get work. I was like, what? So I was like, so he says, just watch it with him. All right. I kind of felt something. Maybe somebody else was putting something in his ear or whatever. Listen, we speak now and we've spoken about little things, and everything is fine. Um, but at the time, there was friction. I felt it. I see eyes roll, and I'm like, what's going on here? So it was nothing that Juju arrested. It's just I'm not gonna sit in a room and feel uncomfortable, right? Um, so what happened was I stopped going, and they were almost at the end. They just needed like couple more songs, whatever it was. I think it was right after we did the song with Grand Puba, the Are You Ready?
Right.
It was a little bit after that. Um, so I stopped going, and then Rickman, which was the road manager at the time, and Troy Hightower was the engineer, you know, for all the sessions. Um, I get a call, and then I see Troy, and he's like, "You got to come back. You got to come back." And then Rickman's calling me, says, "You got to come back." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because all they're doing is smoking and drinking and playing records. They're not getting anything done." So then we go back to the A&R, you know, not that they had to be babysat, you know what I'm saying? But it was still, no matter what, it's a somebody has to have put things in order, right? Or somewhat.
Well, everybody has their role, right?
So
Everybody has their strengths, and like you
yeah,
guys are like a puzzle. You fit,
hmm
yeah.
yeah, right, exactly. So I, I went back. I said, damn, at first I said, no, I'm not going. He says, you have to, man, at least these last songs, because they're not doing anything. So, I'd go back. It didn't feel the same. And again, not because it lessens you, um, but yeah, so that album was finished and it was mastered, and that's when, the real departing started, you know. And then Juju and Fash had friction, and the thing was totally dead by the next one.
Do you have any regrets about how that situation unfolded?
Yeah, I do. I think rather than leaving the situation, and I don't want to put blame on anybody. I think I should have just stood up and said, and hashed it out right there and then, or called some type of meeting. Um, because at the time, honestly, I felt like, I think especially Juju, right? Because to me, the guy's super intelligent, right? Um, he, I think he could have, and I'm not saying come to my defense. I'm trying to find the right words, but I think he could have said, "Hey, you know what?" Because honestly, he was the true leader of that group, right? Or of the whole situation. I think he could have spoke up and more hashed it out, right? And say, "Hey, man, we should do, this is what should be happening." I felt that way. I felt, but then I felt like I should have spoke up, but I didn't want it. It's comes to a situation where you don't want to step on anybody's toes, right? Because it's not your name that's signed on those contracts. You understand? We had a separate production company which fizzled out, right? But we had contracts signed as a production, right? And that just kind of went to the wayside. But I felt like something had to happen, some type of meeting had to take place, and I should have just spoken to Juju and then have him, hey man, if we're gonna move forward, X, Y, and Z needs to be addressed, and we need to
So
fix
instead of
this.
letting it just fester inside and everything,
Yeah,
you think that you guys should have just laid it all out there on the table so that there was no confusion or anything. Everybody got to speak their piece.
right. Everybody gets to speak their piece. And, and if it was going to be water under the bridge, then it's water under the bridge. Let's start new. Leave all that other stuff behind.
So were the issues, I guess, the confusion between you and Fashion, or like with you and Les?
No, it wasn't with me and Les. Not at all. Les, he don't say much, or he didn't say much. But it was more. I think it was more me and Fashion, to be honest. I think it was, there was a conflict there. And he felt one way. He felt like, hey, I'm just using them for thing, and not to say that he wasn't putting it in anyone's head, you know, because you say things, you keep on repeating things and saying things enough, it becomes the truth, right?
Right.
You can manipulate anybody by saying things enough time. Be like, nah. I'm like, damn, wait a minute, yeah. So
The vibe was off
yeah,
and it didn't feel right to you anymore for that
yeah,
situation.
it didn't feel right to me. I have to feel good in a situation. It's not about, you know, yes, it's about making money, right? Because you have to make a living. But to me, first and foremost, it's about art. You know,
Right, because when you're talking about being creative, like that type of stuff will affect the music,
yeah,
the art,
the art, yeah,
easily.
yeah, easily. So you have to be careful, and you can't let things like that consume you because it's just you're there just to be there, and and what you're doing is sacrificing your creativity. You're not going to be able to bloom.
So did you have a conversation with them that was like, yeah, I'm leaving?
No, it just kind of took place. It just took place. It just fizzled out little by little. I
And
was still
everybody
work.
understood.
Yeah, I was still working with Juju
Mhm.
because we were doing the stuff with Raucus. So it was just, you know, it was just the Beatnut stuff that I would be and then, well, actually, when fashion was done, I'd go around. Wasn't like I wasn't, but it was already kind of established that, I'm not really part of this anymore. As heavy
Right.
as the the two prior records.